Hello everybody and welcome to ESRL round 2 of season 7. We are here in Canada for round 2 in the streets of Montreal, and we're about to find out who is going to master them today. For some reason it's saying I'm like in a car in the lobby, but I'm definitely not. I hope that doesn't cause problems, because I am definitely a spectator, as you can see, and I would not like to take control. So hopefully that doesn't cause any issues. Hopefully I don't have an AI car driving around for the race. But anyway, let's get everything up on the screen. So welcome back to ESRL. It was Zoxyrus who took the win last time out on debut in ESRL after a hard-fought battle in Australia all race long between himself, TF Mar 10, the former champion, and I believe it was Marcus was up there as well. Johnny Stokes was up there. I think that was it. I think it was those four. But anyway, Zoxyrus took the win, so he is going to be the man to beat. Prior to this Grand Prix, he's got the championship lead, and Ferrari are absolutely destroying the constructors with a 1-2 or I think it was a 1-3, it might have been, I can't remember now, last time out. Either way, double podium, so they are the team to beat this time. So here we go, Palang coming out the final corner. He's going to be the first to set a lap. Or is it going to be Cialda? No, Cialda's way in front of him, actually, coming through Sector 1 right now. It's a 19.5 in the first sector. To the left and right hander here of turns 6 and 7, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 6 and 7. Now into turn 8. You've got to really ride that curb, commit. Otherwise, you're going to lose a lot of pace. Down towards this tricky hairpin he comes, locks up a little bit, but gets the steering round, hits the apex, and gets it round there. There's someone has gone purple in Sector 1. We'll find out who that is in a little while, but here comes Cialda, just getting a bit of slipstream off one of the cars, getting out of his way there into the final chicane. Doesn't clip the wall of champions. DRS open all the way down to the line using that overtake button. A 9.8 is the initial pace from Cialda. Let's see if anyone can match that. Palang is not improving. He's invalidated, in fact. So we're right on board with the Ferrari of Zoxyrus, the championship leader, who's coming into Sector 2, or Sector 3, the final corner now for the Ferrari driver. Oh, goes a bit too deep and invalidates, so he's going to have to go again. What about his teammate Johnny Stokes coming to the line? 5% ERS, a 10.2, just 0.3 down. Speed is a long way down, so that's not a representative lap from him. We've got Patty Pat starting a lap. We'll switch to, I think Lewis is coming to the end of a lap, as is the McLaren of Marcus, perhaps. No, he's in the hairpin, so we'll ride on board with Lewis from South Sudan in the Williams. I think probably the only sim racer flying under the South Sudan flag that you're ever going to see, and it's great to see. It's great to see, but yeah. Jordan Lancer goes to P2 onto the front row, just a 10.5 away from Cialda. Someone's just joined. Marcus goes P1, a 9.4 from the McLaren driver. As Scott goes to P6, that's not representative though, but what a lap for Marcus. That is well ahead of Cialda, but someone's purple in both of the first two sectors. It might be this man, Thomas, who's another newbie to ESRL, but he's 0.4 ahead of Marcus through sectors 1 and 2, and yeah, this is a mighty lap, an 8.8. I think this is the man to beat from the Czech Republic, Tomáš Boldra. I think that's how you say it, Tomáš. I'm sure he'll correct me afterwards. I hope he does, if I am saying it wrong. Bikakba in the Aston Martin. Let's check in with him. No one's going purple at the moment. Scott is improving, according to the telemetry, by quite some margin, so we'll see what he does across the line. He's coming down to the final chicane now. There's a V-carb in his way, but gets out the way cleanly for him. Down to the last corner for the Sauber driver, who had a great showing last week. I believe it was P5 in Australia for Scott. He comes across the line. That's a lot more representative. A 10.2 from Scott puts him P8 for now, and 4/10 clear of Aces versus Kings. What about Bikakba coming to the line at 10.4, 2/10 down on Scott for now. Carlito starting a lap. Palang has invalidated. What about Patty Pat? He's invalidated as well. So we'll ride on board with Carlito in the Aston Martin. No, we won't, because he's invalidated as well. So everyone invalidating their laps at the moment. Trugster's gone to P4, by the way. What a lap from him. So much improvement from Trugster this last year. And it continues into this game, which is great to see. Is Marcus on a lap? He is. He's a 10th up in Sector 1. What about Sector 2? We're about to find out. Reshka's also improving. And he's a little bit behind, I think. Oh no, Reshka's in the pits, never mind. Yeah, my telemetry is confusing me a bit. But Marcus, a 10th up in the middle sector overall. Down towards the final chicane he goes. DRS open. And all the way down. Braking for that last chicane. You've got to really commit to these two corners, and he does. Doesn't hit the wall of champions. Hello to Harris in the chat. Good to see you. Marcus goes with a 9.5. Doesn't improve in the end. Loses all that time he gained in the final sector. And he's going to have to try again, but I think Tomasz is going to be unmovable in this quali session. Jackalacco goes to P11 with his first run. Speed says, hope you enjoy. Looks like changeable conditions for the race. Oh, interesting. Same as APP just a few moments ago when we were racing in Japan just an hour ago. So should be an interesting race. Here's the championship leader, Zoxyrus, the race winner from round 1. He's coming down towards the end of Sector 2 now. So this tricky turn 8 doesn't fully commit to the apex. A little lockup causes him to go a bit wide, but it's not too bad for the Ferrari driver. Down to the hairpin, brakes at about 80 meters there. Very late braking, but gets it stopped very comfortably, so nice job there from Zoxyrus. Coming down towards the final chicane now. Is there going to be an improvement for the championship leader? Well, there certainly is, as long as he doesn't invalidate, which is what he did at this corner on the last attempt. Here he comes again. Oh, a little bit deep there into the right-hander of the chicane. That's going to cost him some time, but he's still gone to P3, so it's not too bad in the end. Cialda coming to the hairpin is 4/10 up, and someone, I think that's Johnny Stokes, is 1.5 tenths up in Sector 1. Yes, he is. What is that down through Sector 2? 2.5 tenths for Johnny Stokes, so big improvement to come from the Ferrari driver, the people's champion, the reigning people's champion, I should say, after last season. Cialda coming to the line, DRS open. What's it going to be for the Cockpit Championship regular? He's up to P3, but he's only a couple, in fact, just over 100th of a second behind Marcus. So he'll be disappointed not to be on the front row there, but not too bad at all from Cialda in the end. Who else is on a lap who's improving? Johnny Stokes didn't improve in the end. He invalidated, so he's going to have to try again. Lancer is improving by 2.5 tenths in Sector 1, but he's lost it all in Sector 2, and he's going to have to try again as well. Reshka, big improvement for him, of course, as he's 11.5 seconds down. So this should be the first representative lap time from the British driver. Speed Alcoholic, the same, hopefully. He's coming through Sector 1 now. or sector 2 I should say, and he's a long way up on his previous best. Reshka 8.6 up in sector 2. Here we go into the final sector. DRS Open using all the ERS he's got left to the line. It's a 10.0. It's not bad at all. Puts him to P6. He was worried coming into this race. He was saying in the paddock that he's not had much practice on this game recently, so he was worried about how this might go, but he's doing very well, just on par with his teammate there, as Lewis goes a little bit faster as well. Speed Alcoholic, is he improving? Yes, he is. Coming to the final corner now. Someone's gone purple in sector 1. That's Palang, I believe. No, it's Carlito, sorry. Carlito's gone purple in sector 1. Huge for him. Speed Alcoholic to P5. Here comes Palang. Well, he hasn't set a lap at the moment. DRS Open with ERS. Trugster improves up to P4. Huge lap for him as well. But purple in sector 1 for Carlito. What can he do down towards the final chicane now? Palang coming down to the line. 5% of ERS left. And he goes to P6. Not bad at all. And Carlito, now someone else improved. That was Bikakba, I believe. Could have been Speed as well. But both Red Bulls 6 and 7 now. Carlito, what's this going to be from the Aston Martin driver? A 9.1. A huge lap time from him, but Tomasz is purple again in sector 1, but he's lost a lot of time in the middle sector. Oh, and that's a big slide through the hairpin, and that's not going to be an improvement for the Sauber driver. Patty Pat still invalidating yet again. Womack's through sector 2. There's a Red Bull just behind him. I hope that doesn't cause any issues. I don't think they're on a lap, whoever they are. But no one improving at the moment except for Jackalacco, who's 2.5 tenths up in the middle sector. Down towards the final chicane he goes. What's it going to be for the Haas driver? DRS Open all the way to the line, using that overtake button, all the ERS he's got left, and it's a 10.7, a big improvement, but he hasn't improved his position, unfortunately. Carlito into the pits. Marcus not improving. Cialdo not improving. Yeah, no one improving on track at the moment, according to the telemetry. So a little bit of a lull in proceedings before we all go to the final runs. Marcus out on track at the moment. Don't know if he's going to go again. Zoxerus is improving in sector 1 by just over 0.5 tenth, and Lancer also improving by just under 0.5 tenth in that first sector. Zoxerus in the Ferrari on the limit through 8 and 9, through turns 8 and 9. We saw here that he didn't get them quite ideally last lap, but he hasn't been able to improve that much. He's still only 0.5 tenth up. Lancers, though, improving by 2 tenths in sector 2, so he could get himself up quite a few positions. It's very close, this qualifying session. It's great to see. Zoxerus has lifted off by the looks of it. Yeah, he's not going to complete this lap. He's going to try and go again. So here we go, DRS Open, and we'll see how he does. But let's ride on board with Lancer, who's invalidated in the final chicane. It would have been a 9.6, which would have been enough to put him into... So he'll be disappointed with that one. Ace is on an outlap. Everyone else in the pits right now, and we could, if they all start coming out right before the end, we could end up with some traffic issues here on these final runs. So still potential for drama in this qualifying session. Zox was not improving, so he's going to have to try again. Last chicane is so tough, says Speed. So well, we can see, yeah, there's a lot of drivers invalidating at that final chicane in this session. Wouldn't be surprised to see a few more. But a few drivers coming out on their out laps now. Zoxorus, does he have time here to go into the pits and go again? I'm not sure. I'm not sure he's going to have enough time. Ricky Cardo has joined. Ricky Cardo _ TikTok Live. Oh gosh, they've got an influencer, everyone. I mean, other than Patty Pat. I mean, he's kind of a wannabe influencer, but anyway. I'm just kidding, Patty Pat. Carlito on an outlap. Cialda just gotten out on track as well. A lot of drivers heading out, but with only 2 minutes left in the session, we could have some traffic issues here. So drivers are going to have to be a little bit careful. Aces has lifted off, and he's invalidated, so he's going to have to go again. Thank you, Harris. Patty Pat, talking of whom, in Sector 2 at the moment. What's it going to be? Nicely done through that chicane. Down towards the Sector 2 line. It's going to be a 41.9 through there so far. As he goes into the hairpin. He's ghosted for some reason, but it's put him back into a solid car now. A lot of drivers starting their final runs, but we'll ride on board with Patty Pat to see if he keeps his lap or if he invalidates at the final chicane like so many others. Here he goes, breaks into the corner, gets it right this time, and down to the line. He's going to finally get a lap on the board, and it's not going to be too bad. It's a 10.5 P15 for Patty Pat. He's just behind Scott, who'll be very happy to see that he's just behind. Carlito's gone purple in Sector 1, but he's messed it up in Sector 2. The telemetry says he's lost all that time again. He's plus 2 seconds, so he's going to have to try again. Is he going to have time? Yeah, just about. Here comes Scott, though. He's not improving by the looks of things. No, he is. 4 tenths up in Sector 2, and a Ferrari of Johnny Stokes is 8.5 tenths up after Sector 2. Scott coming to the line now. We're going to switch straight to Johnny after this lap. A 9.8 for Scott. Ventures into the 1 minute 9s, but Johnny Stokes is on for a stonking lap here. Could get himself onto the front row. Here he goes. No invalidation. Just taps the wall of chicane lightly. The wall of champions slightly. It's a 9.1 for Johnny Stokes. It's not quite enough for P2, but it's P3 for the People's Champion, and that's great stuff from him. A lot of people improving right now, including Cialda, who's coming through. He's only improving by half a tenth or so, but he's coming down to the line. Oh no, he's lifted off. Who else is improving? We've got the Aston Martin of Bikakba, a 10.5 up in Sector 1. We've got the Williams of Lewis, half a tenth up after Sector 2. Coming to the line now. Is there an improvement for him? Yes, there is. P8. Big improvement for Lewis. Great stuff from him. Who else is improving? Bikakba. Not improving in Sector 2, though, so he's going to have to try again. Oh, no, he's not going to have time to try again. That's his quali session over. Jacko is 4.5 tenths up in the middle sector. He's up to P15. Great lap from him. Aces versus Kings also improving. 2 tenths up. Sorry, 8 tenths up. In that middle sector. This could be a huge lap from Aces. Down towards the final chicane now. Patty Pat, is he on a lap? Is he improving? Yes, he is. Surprisingly, on old tyres, he's gone again and he's improving by 2 tenths or so. Who else is on a lap? We've got Tomasz finishing his lap right now. He's invalidated, though. Cialda invalidates as well. So it's all about Patty Pat here in the Alpine. He's coming to the line. Someone's crashed ahead. That's a Red Bull. Patty Pat at 10.2, a 3/10th improvement. Puts him above Jack Halako and splits the Hasses for P16. But look at those close qualifying times. This is going to be a fantastic race. Not sure about the pace of Ricky Chiardo, of course, but we will find out soon enough. And the Red Bull who crashed was Palang across the line. So obviously no improvement from him. I really hope it doesn't put my ghost car out on track. It's not my fault, I promise. I definitely pressed spectator, so I don't know why it has given me a car. But anyway. There we have it. Tomasz for Sauber from the Czech Republic goes with a 1 minute 8.8, the only driver to get into the 1 minute 8s, and he takes pole position in dominant fashion. Carlito joins him on the front row, continuing his quali performance from last week. He is looking much faster than he was in F1 23. Johnny Stokes in P3 with Marcus joining him on the second row. He is from Britain, I promise you, not Saudi Arabia. Cialda and Trugster P5 and 6 with Speed and Zoxerus, the championship leader, down in P8. Lewis Palang, Bikakba, Scott, Reshka, Jordan Lancer, Aces, Patty Pat, Jacko and Womax make out the rest of the grid, with Ricky Cardo joining late, so unable to set a lap. It certainly is speed. Looks like we're starting with rain, but so we're going to have an interesting start to this race. Good evening to Marcus in the chat as well. But wow, what a competitive grid we have here. It makes me glad that Luca isn't here, because he would just do a 1 minute 7.4 or some absolute alien lap or something like that, and win the race by 30 seconds. So I'm glad he's not here. Well, I'm still in spectator menu, as we can see, so if it is going to put my car on the grid, then I don't know what's going to happen. It has put me on the grid, so we'll see what happens here. No idea how this is going to work. Apparently I'm going. Look at me go. Look at that. Off I go. Goodness me, aren't I great? Yeah, so an AI car is going to be driving around the track all race long, unfortunately. It's not my fault. I definitely pressed spectator. As we can see, I'm in the spectator menu. But yeah, just a bug, presumably with the EA League creation function in-game. So yeah, that's not ideal, but we'll roll with it. I'm sure it'll be fine. Just unfortunate to have me at the back there, but look at me go. At least I'm going to get a finish from this Grand Prix. Ghost has become a deep fake. I wouldn't describe it like that. Everyone on the intermediate tyres, so we'll go to position changes instead to track the first lap here. There's going to be Tomasz Boldra on pole position on his debut in ESRL, with Carlito alongside on the front row. But the grid is going to form back up for the start of round 2, the Canadian Grand Prix. Going to be a tricky start with the intermediate tyres. Let's see if these drivers are prepared for it. Had my first driving in wet conditions in APPF1 not long ago, just a couple of hours ago. It was different, it was difficult, but here we go. 3, 4, 5 red lights. And we're underway for the Canadian Grand Prix. It's a great start from Tomasz from pole position. Carlito, not a bad start for him either. Terrible start for Johnny Stokes. He's going to go around the outside of Cialda just behind to try and hold on to 4th place. But Marcus is up to P3. There's a lot of The overtake's happening further back, but everyone's gone through turns 1 and 2 cleanly. Great job, ESRL. But it's Tomasz who leads from Carlito, from Marcus, and then Johnny down to P4. Speed's made up a position on Trugster. He's up to P6 and looking to get past Cialda as well down the inside of turn 6. But he has to back out of that one, and Trugster trying to make his way through. But Zoxyrus is going to try and take advantage of that poor line, but he's not going to be able to in these conditions. Oh, a little bit of contact that could have gone very badly wrong, but the championship leader is going to have to wait for another opportunity. Someone's round. That's Patty Pat. Yeah, I think it's Patty Pat who's gone round, and Marcus getting past Carlito now as well in the hairpin. They're going to be side by side down towards the final chicane. Why is it giving us this awful camera angle? There we go. Carlito trying to get his way past, but Marcus too fast on the straight, and the McLaren driver up to P2, the two-time ESRL sprint champion. And one-time runner-up by 1 point in the main Division 1 championship. We've got carnage happening further back. That's Palang who's gone round by the looks of it. Yeah, he has at the final chicane, so he's down to last place now. We've got Ricky Cardo up 6 places already. 7 positions. He's going up to B12 now, side by side with Reshka, with Bikakpa as they go into turn 3. It's still side by side through 3 and 4. Great racing between the two. Could be an opportunity for Reshka, and it is. Great racing from him as well to take that opportunity to get past the Aston Martin, and he's up to 13th place. Bikakpa now defending from Jacko for P14, but it's up 7 places for Ricky Cardo, so he's clearly got some pace in him. Jordan Lance up 5 places as well after his displacement in qualifying. But these tricky conditions getting used to pretty quick by the drivers. Very impressive from ESRL here. Zoxyrus trying to get past Trugster into the hairpin, but can't quite do it. Is he going to have a go into the final chicane here? He's got to be wary of Jordan Lancer, so he's going to want to get this move done, and he's going to go for it down the inside, down towards the final corner. It's going to be side by side, but Zoxyrus backs out. Sensible from the championship leader, but although he does need to get this move done, because otherwise he's going to lose more and more time to the cars in front. We know the pace he's got. I think he just had a lackluster qualifying, or maybe he just doesn't like this track as much. As Scott has lost a couple of positions there. He's down to 13th as Reshka gets passed by Ricky Cardo. Actually, it was Scott getting passed by both of them. So Ricky Cardo up to 11th place, and he's going to be chasing after this Williams of Lewis AP as Jordan Lancer trying to take advantage and get past the championship leader here into turn 6 and 7. But he's not going to be able to do so. Oh, has a big slide on the exit. And yeah, he's going to have to stick behind for a little bit longer. Speed Alcoholic up to P5. He's looking to get past the defending People's Champion. That's Johnny Stokes. As Tomasz extends his lead, it looks like he is going to. It looks like he is cruising to a comfortable race victory today. As Johnny Stokes goes very deep, is this an opportunity for the Red Bull? Not quite on the exit, but Zoxyrus finally getting wheel to wheel with Trugster again at the exit of the hairpin. A little bit of a poor exit, but he should be able to get this move done now. Trugster, is he going to fight him into the final chicane? It looks like he is. They're going to be side by side, but surely Trugster's going to have to back out of this one. He's on the outside line. He's got the inside for the second corner. He has a bit of a slide on the exit, loses the place to Jordan Lancer as well, but a valiant effort from the McLaren, and that's Zoxyrus into P7. Now as Reshka getting his way back past Ricky Cardo. That is unexpected given the pace that Mercedes has had so far. So good racing from Reshka there as he gets his way up into P11. ESRL does use the classic F1 point system, so it's only points for the top 10 in this Grand Prix. So keep that in mind, and it should probably get a bit drier as the race goes on. From what Speed told me, he was saying it was changeable conditions, so we'll see if that's true. But at the moment it is still pretty wet out there as he looks for a move into the hairpin. bold dive bomb from Speed Alcoholic. Johnny leaves in the room, and Speed's going to get a decent exit here. Is it going to be good enough? I don't think so. Johnny's going to be able to hold on. They're both using overtake, but not Johnny anymore, and Speed's gone into the back of him there. Couldn't decide which direction to go. He's going to take the inside line, but he's going to have to back out of that one, and he'll be frustrated with himself for not getting that move done, as Tomasz sets the fastest lap by a wide margin. He is, at the moment, he's over 1.2 seconds ahead of everyone else on lap time. So he is cruising to victory as it stands. I know it's early doors, but it's difficult to see anyone beating him at this stage. And Marcus 2.2 seconds ahead of Carlito, who is doing a similarly good job, but he's embroiled in this battle between himself, Johnny, and Speed at the moment, and Cialda joining the party as well. Zoxerus, I'm sure, will be wanting to do the same within good time, as Ricky Cardo just behind Reshka, looking to find his way through, but his progress has halted as it stands, as Johnny Stokes and Carlito go side by side through 7 and 8. What a brilliant bit of racing between them two. Speed and Cialda getting involved as well. Speed sending it to the inside of the hairpin. What a dive bomb from the Red Bull driver, channeling his inner Max Verstappen, but there's contact as he just drifts a little bit into the path of Carlito. Carlito's not going to be happy about that. Zoxerus is going to be very happy about that, because he's gained that position and he's up to P6 and well in this battle now for the podium position, the last podium position. Another fastest lap from Tomasz. He is destroying the field right now, but Zoxerus and Carlito may be going wheel to wheel, but Carlito backs out of it and lives to fight another day into turn 1. Cialda, Speed and Johnny still battling for that P3 as Speed looks to the inside after that audacious dive bomb into the hairpin on Carlito on the previous lap. But he's gonna, I think, struggle a little bit more to get past Johnny Stokes, because that Ferrari driver, we know how quick he has been so far this season. On this game so far, the tyres, everyone's on, it's hovering around 20% is the average tyre wear on the grid at the moment. There's some down on 15%, there's some on 22%, but that's the range. It's 15 to 22% is the range of tyre wear on the grid at the moment. I won't say who, but I'll keep that in mind as we go on. I've got that on the screen, and it looks like Tomasz is heading to another fastest lap. He certainly is. The track is getting better. Has it stopped raining? It has. That's why it stopped raining, and Zoxerus has come into the pits. He thinks it's time for slicks already, and he's the only one to take the gamble. There's still some spray out there, so I'm surprised by this decision, but it could just work out. Ace is doing the same. He loves a gamble, does Aces versus Kings, so I'm not surprised to see that. But I'm going to switch back to tyres. Here we go. Ricky Cardo's done the same. Palang also pitted, and Womack's coming in to do the same as well. Why not? You've got nothing to lose at the back there as Trugster and Jordan Lancer go wheel to wheel. Lewis into the back of the McLaren. We've got 4 abreast into turn 6. Reshka's just sitting back and watching and waiting. Trugster with another mistake, and that's going to cause a bit of a chain reaction as all the cars behind struggle to stay with each other and not crash into each other. And Jordan's going to be down the inside into turn 7, or turn 8, excuse me, and he makes the move but gets a loss of rear end on the exit, but he's just about held on, and he is up to P8 now. This is fantastic racing between these midfield drivers at the moment, but it's looking pretty dry out there, I will say. I'm keeping an eye on the times, although the slick tyre runners, they're coming into Sector 2 now, and they're not faster than the Inter runners at the moment, so it seems to be pretty on the wire in terms of whether it's faster or not at the moment. Yeah, those slicks, the guys who've gone onto slicks are not faster as it stands. A lot more drivers coming in, but a lot more staying out. And Jordan Lancer onto the hards, in fact, trying to go to the end perhaps. But most others, in fact, everyone else who's pitted onto the medium tyres. But yeah, it is looking quite dry out there, but I think that's deceptive. I don't think it's quite time for slicks yet, although it might just be hovering on that window now. Tomasz has stayed out, as well as Marcus and Johnny Stokes. Speed Alcoholic as well, as they continue to battle for P3. But I think everyone's going to be coming in this lap. Those drivers who haven't stopped yet. Palang gets himself a penalty at the back of the grid. He's very quick in qualifying, Palang, but he's still the same Palang that we know and love in terms of consistency in a race. He can't get it together. Tomasz with a 3-second time penalty for track limits. If we get a late safety car, that could be costly. Carlito now gets one as well, as Speed getting down the inside of Johnny, who peels into the pit lane for the slick tyres. But everyone else staying out. They think it's still intermediates. And the telemetry agrees. The slick tyre runners are slow at the moment. They're at about 2 seconds down on the inters. So definitely those who've stopped already have made a mistake. Johnny Stokes onto the hards, and everyone else pitting now onto the hards as well. Trying to go to the end from here perhaps, or go hard medium. We've yet to find out. Patty Pat onto the mediums as well. Zoxerus up to P8. He clears everyone who's stopped. Now DRS is enabled, and now we know that the slicks are going to be faster. Or are they? Are they up to temperature? I think that's the main thing. My telemetry scheme doesn't tell me what temperature the tyre's at. That's the only thing. It tells me what their wear percentage is, but not temperature. So it's difficult to say, but that would be my guess. There's a big crash. Jordan Lancer and Reshka, by the looks of it, have come together. Jordan Lancer into the wall. He's got major front wing damage. He's going to have to stop again, and he's going to be furious with that. We've got a VSC on the scene as well. Patty Pat going very slow, which is going to frustrate Lancer even more. But we do have a virtual safety car out on track now. But I completely missed that collision. Lancer into the wall, and Reshka being given a time penalty by the game. So clearly a collision between those two. But this is heaven for those who have huge amount of time gained. Jacko getting a drive through for speeding under VSC, and that'll be due to, yeah, that'll be the same way I got a drive through at this track under a VSC in last year's game. Just going too fast into the pit lane, and your delta goes up too much, and the game thinks that you've gone too far over the delta, and it gives you a drive through because it's a wonderfully made game. But anyway, those who pitted under the VSC get a huge time advantage here. Speed Alcoholic is going to be well clear, but it's interesting to see the difference in strategy here. Some drivers on the hards. Tomasz gets a drive-through, our race leader, a drive-through penalty for speeding under the VSC, and that is huge news. That's going to gift Marcus the lead of this race now. And Jack Alako getting his way past Zoxerus, the championship leader, getting passed by the Haas of Jacko from the Highlands of Scotland. Palang gets a 10-second penalty for corner cutting now. I don't know how he's managed that, but Jacko clearly having a better time on this track at the moment than he did in Australia last time out. Into the hairpin they go, and Jacko's a bit deep, and here comes Zoxerus on those better medium tyres, and the championship leader is through. Palang has retired in the pit lane by the looks of it, as Trugster is the latest to get a track limits penalty. Tomasz into the pits for that drive-through penalty. He's just exiting now. Bikakpa gets a track limits penalty as well, but Tomasz comes out the pits. He's just behind Speed Alcoholic, and Speed is not going to gift him this position. He's going to have to get this in the proper fashion here. I know Speed isn't just going to let him by, not that sort of driver. So Tomasz is going to have to work for this one. He's 5 seconds behind Marcus, as Ace is now setting the fastest lap on those slick tyres. And here comes Tomasz already with the DRS down the inside. Speed just letting him go. Oh, a little bit of a snap actually as well for Speed, and that's going to have affected him. So he's lost that position. He's back down to P3 again, and now Tomasz has got to catch Marcus. He's got 5 seconds to the race leader, and then he's got a 3-second track limits penalty as well. There's going to be plenty of those, viewers, trust me, plenty of track limits penalties today. There's a reason that a lot of people call this track the Track Limits Grand Prix. Yeah, there's going to be plenty of them today, as Trugster also retires. Not sure why. Oh, he's retired in the pit lane. Okay, that's fine. That's a real shame, actually. He was doing very well. But Reshka, the latest to get a track limits penalty now, and that gap coming down between Tomasz and Marcus. I will keep an eye on the lap times as Zoxerus now sets the fastest lap. Bikakba getting past the DNF'd McLaren, I believe, of Trugster. As we're having a little party, a strobe party with the yellow flag indicator at the top left there. Hopefully that stops doing that soon. Yeah, there we go. Trugster's car disappears, and we lose the strobe rave party. But Zoxerus, 1.1 behind Bikakba, and he's going to be looking to take P6 pretty soon. Those medium tyres going to be a lot better at this stage. And down into the hairpin, he's going to have DRS down towards the final chicane, but so is Bikakba from my ghosted car, which is a real shame. I do apologise for that, but I promise it's not my fault. I press spectator, although Bikakba doesn't have the DRS. So he was just too far behind to get it, which is good. Tomasz, which is good in the interest of fairness, I should say. Tomasz setting the fastest lap now, and he is about 4/10 quicker than Marcus on that lap. So he's going to be reeling in that McLaren. We are going to get a battle for the race lead after all, as Scott and Lewis, I think, swapped positions just then. Scott down to P11. Remember, points only for the top 10 in ESRL, as Scott gets himself another track limits penalty to boot. Speed is keeping up with Tomasz, by the way. He's doing a very good job in that Red Bull. I think Tomasz was very, very quick in the wet, but in the dry, he loses the advantage that he had. He's still the quickest driver on track, don't get me wrong, but he's not quick enough to gap everyone by 8 seconds within the first 8 laps, put it that way. So Speed going to get the DRS here, and he's going to close back up. So he's doing a decent job here in the Red Bull from South Africa. Looks like Tomasz, though, is going to set another fastest lap here. It's purple in the first 2 sectors. There it is, an 11.6. It was an 11.9 from Speed on that previous lap, but Tomasz 11.6, and that's some 7/10 faster than Marcus's last lap. So he is catching very, very quickly at this point. Reshka right behind Carlito, going around the outside of the Aston Martin driver into turn 1. Very risky move from the British driver, but he nearly made it work. And the Spaniard will have had his heart in his mouth there as they went down towards the first corner. Speed Alcoholic now getting himself a 3-second time penalty for track limits, and he's lost that DRS range out of that 1 second parity from Tomasz, so no more DRS for Speed, but he's still a comfortable 7 seconds clear of his nearest competitor Cialda in P4, although we're yet to see how the strategies are going to differ, because I can say right now the difference in tyre wear between the mediums and hards at this point, the hards I've got around 7% less wear after the first 4 laps of use, or five laps of use, I should say. Tomasz with another fastest lap. Yeah, so hards faring an awful lot better than the mediums in terms of wear, but they're a lot slower for sure. I love how mid-distance spray has 0 smoothing. Yeah, this is an old game engine. They still haven't updated to PS5 graphics, even though it's been on the PS5 for the last 4 or 5 years. So there we go. But anyway, Lewis coming round turn 2. He's in a bit of a lonely spot at the moment. There was an overtake that happened. I think it might have been Scott on Ricky Cardo. Well, the Mercedes driver, he's done decently for a debut so far, especially starting from last place. But the amount of positions he gained on the first few laps, I expected him to be further up. I thought he had a lot of pace, but maybe he just had a godly first couple of laps, which is fair enough. There's something about them economics, yeah, certainly, as Tomasz gets himself another 3-second time penalty, but he is now in DRS range of the race leader, but he has 6 seconds to his name, and if there's anyone who's good at not getting time penalties when the moment requires him, it is Marcus. So if Tomasz is hoping for Marcus to get a track limits penalty, I think he's going to be waiting for quite a while as Bikakba gets his way back past Zoxeris for P6. And the championship leader not looking quite as dominant, or not dominant, but quite as capable of fighting at the front as he was last week when he won in Australia. Carlito has DNF'd. I think that's a crash. His car's not moving. Maybe he retired in the pit lane. That's more likely. Let's just say he retired in the pit lane, which is a shame, as Jackalacco spins on the exit of the hairpin. Easy to do, and is losing the car a lot. He's got front wing damage as well, to add insult to injury. And by the way, there's rear wing damage as well to Jordan Lancer. So if you're wondering why he's not progressing through the field, that is why. A huge loss of downforce that is going to be for the Mercedes driver. And, well, he's going to struggle for the next 17 and a half laps now as he gets himself another track limits penalty, as well as Giaco retires in the pit lane as well. He's had enough of this one too. Womax, I believe, has been lapped, but we'll cut back to the front because Tomasz still hasn't been able to get past Marcus. Marcus doing a decent job to keep him behind at the moment. Using that ERS well. There's going to be DRS here down towards turn 8, and the Sauber driver looking to the inside but can't make the move. Marcus defending very well. Rear wing damage again for Jacko for 2 weeks in a row in ESRL, he says, and that is a huge shame for him, because he was having a decent race until then. But here we go through the hairpin. This could be it for Tomasz. He's going to use that ERS down this straight. He's got the DRS advantage down towards the final chicane, and that is going to be move complete for the pole sitter back up into the lead of this race. Speed Alcoholic 2 seconds behind. But Tomasz into the pits. Into the pits goes the Sauber driver who was leading the race. What's it going to be? What tyres is he putting on? This is a very early stop. Here he comes into the pits. It's a set of hards to the end, so an early stop to fit a set of hards. And, well, that's going to be a bit of a struggle for him. Perhaps, compared to those who are already on the hards. I don't know if the likes of Cialda, Johnny and Bikakba are planning to go to the end here, but certainly the medium tyre runners are going to have to pit. The hards that are 9 laps old are around 10% right now. The mediums at around 20% or more. Maximum I can see is 24%. So there's quite a large wear difference between the two tyres. There's a big mistake there from Bikakba while we're riding aboard with this battle, and Zoxeris is going to get a big opportunity here. He just needs a good exit out of this hairpin, and he's going to get a big chance to get it, but he goes a bit deep. He's going to have the DRS, but he's lost quite a bit of that advantage. It's back up to 4.5 tenths the gap. And Speed has come in as well to react to Tomasz's stop. Here comes the Ferrari, but he's not going to be close enough, and he's going to have to wait once again, and gets himself a track limits penalty as well at the final chicane, and that is not what he would have wanted. And now we've got the pole sitter right behind them, Tomasz Boldra, right there. looking to get his way past. Lewis getting himself another track limits penalty. Speed exiting the pits some 4 seconds behind the driver. He was 2 seconds behind when they pitted, so big undercut from Tomasz. But Speed's gone to the mediums as there's a big move there from the Sauber driver and a big mistake from Bikakpa just ahead. And it's 2 places in 2 corners for Tomasz. He's back up to P4. Zoxerus gets past Bikakpa finally as a result of that mistake, but loses the place to Tomasz, so he remains in P5. But he'll still be pretty happy with how this is going so far. I think Zoxerus, he's not doing too badly, although he is going to have to stop for a fresh set of tyres, and that's going to drop him quite a way down. Speed Alcoholic onto the mediums, an interesting choice here. 10 laps old mediums on 23% right now, or 25% or so. So I'd say he's going to be on around 40% by the end of this race. Maybe more like 35, but still going to be a bit of a struggle to drive on, but I don't think they'll be too bad for him. So this could be a good decision from Speed here. Oh, as he gets himself a track limits penalty at turn 1. Which is not what he would have wanted. Lewis into the pits, Scott staying out as it stands, as is Patty Pat, who's having a lonely race down there. Oh, big wobble for Jordan Lancer just behind, and that's going to be a move for Aces, is it? No, he stays behind, but Lancer really struggling with that rear wing damage. You can see the rear end all over the place on that Mercedes, and he's going to really struggle to keep that going. Lewis exits in P14 for now, which is basically last place of everyone on the lead lap. Tomasz, meanwhile, right behind Johnny Stokes. There's a time penalty for Aces further down the grid, but here comes the pole sitter to the inside, and it's a simple DRS overtake. He's up to P3, 7 seconds behind the race leader, who still is yet to pit on those medium tyres. Cialda, he's got to get past as well, but those 11 lap old hard tyres should be light work for this Sauber driver, who is flying his way through the pack. Speed, meanwhile, not so much. He's 1.5 behind Bikakpa. His last lap was an 11.8, so he is much faster than the drivers ahead, so he should be able to clear them relatively quickly, and if he doesn't, he's going to lose a whole chunk of time in that Red Bull. As there's Scott coming into the pit lane, Patty Pat getting passed by Jordan Lancer, who's now up to P10, and it's admirable that he's continuing with rear wing damage, to be honest. You wouldn't expect him to with that sort of damage, but he has done, so all the respect to Lancer for that, as Aces are trying to follow in behind as well. Scott onto fresh medium tyres to the end, following in the footsteps of Speed Alcoholic as Tomasz makes his way past Cialda into the final chicane, and that's another easy pass for him as Speed Alcoholic gets his way past Bikakpa as well, so he's charging his way through as well. And I think he's probably made the right decision to go for the mediums. His last lap, an 11.0. Tomasz's last lap, an 11.1. So Speed is flying right now. I don't think he's flying enough for the race win here, unless there's more of a mistake from Tomasz. He does have 6 seconds of penalties, so there is that. But I think Marcus is the one who's really in trouble here. He's waited a long time to pit off those mediums, as has Zoxerus. I wonder if they're going to try and go to the end here. Zoxerus is on 35% wear on those mediums, so it's going to be a real struggle for him. Bikakpa gets himself a 3-second time penalty as well. Let's have a quick look at the penalties while we're thinking about them. 6 to Tomasz, Speed as well on 6, Bikakpa on 6, Aces versus Kings as well. 3 seconds for Johnny Stokes, Zoxerus and Lewis. 9 seconds for Ricky and Jordan Lancer, and 16 seconds for Reshka. He's really struggling for track limits today, as I think that Zoxerus into the pits finally is decided enough is enough on those mediums, and is going to head onto another set of mediums to the end of this race. But no penalties for Cialda and Marcus, and that could turn out to be very important for them. for the race result here, especially if we get a late safety car. You get a safety car at lap 32, and suddenly Marcus and Cialda are looking at finishing 1 and 2. Patty Pat as well, with no penalties. Not the sort of name you would expect to have no penalties at this point, but Patty Pat in P10, he's in the points at the moment, he's got no penalties. He does surely have to get those mediums off at some point, and pit onto another set. Marcus being caught by Tomasz here, 2.7 between the two of them. Marcus's last lap was only 0.3 slower than Tomasz's, but I think this one is going to be quite a bit slower. He's coming to the line now. You can see what his lap is, a 13.2 for Marcus. Tomasz a 10.9, 2.3 seconds gained in one lap from the pole sitter, and he is looking to charge to victory here. He does have those 6 seconds of penalties, but I don't think that's going to matter too much by the end of this, although that's a bit of a mistake through turns 3 and 4 there, but I think he will manage just about. Jordan Lancer now into the pits as well for another set of tyres. He's going to tumble down the order. He'll be hoping for a safety car here as well. Not that he'll be able to repair his rear wing, but I think his only chance for points is if the field bunches up a bit more now. Lewis right behind Patty Pat in the meantime to make this move. A big mistake from Patty Pat up ahead. They're going too deep at turn 3. And here comes Lewis into 6 and 7, and this could be the move here down towards turn 8. It's another time penalty for Tomasz. He's now up to 9 seconds, and his chances of winning this race don't look so certain. Lewis gets himself another penalty as well at turn 9 as he gets past the Alpine of Patty Pat. He's now in a streamer, an influencer sandwich, just behind Ricky Gardo and just ahead of Patty Pat. Patty Pat with the DRS though. Look at the overspeed from the Alpine. He's got a very low wing setup compared to the Williams, but he can't quite get the move done, and he heads into the pits as we've got a change for the lead. Tomasz gets his way past Marcus. Must have been a mistake from him as Bikakpa's gone round. Big mistake from the Aston Martin driver. He's got surely front wing damage. He hit the wall as he came back round. He's down to P7, and yeah, there's no front right end plate on that Aston Martin. He's going to have to come in and yet another race. Bikakpa was looking for a race win last week in Australia. He was up the front all race long until a slight incident between himself and Zoxerus sent him round. As Speed gets himself another position, he's up to P4. He's still flying in that Red Bull, only 0.2 slower than Tomasz on the previous lap, and on this lap he was P3. He was faster, in fact, by 4 thousandths. So he's matching Tomasz for pace right now. He's doing a fantastic job in that Red Bull, but those 6 seconds of penalties could be costly. Bikakpa into the pits for a new front wing. Marcus into the pits for soft tyres. That was his plan. He's come in late on as soon as he's been passed by Tomasz and onto the softs, but he's 12 seconds behind his nearest car, and that is going to be some gap to get to close up in the last 10 laps here, and those softs are going to wear extremely quickly. I think this is going to turn out to be a huge error from Marcus. It could even cost him a podium here despite all the penalties in front of him. We'll find out, but those softs, I'll keep you updated on the wear of those softs, but they're going to be hurting really badly by the end of this race. Speed Alcoholic just behind Cialda now as the RB driver continues to hold on to P2, but for how much longer? He's got Speed and Johnny right behind. Let's have a quick look at the penalties again. It's 3 seconds to Johnny and 6 to Speed. So Johnny Stokes in a great position to get back-to-back podiums here. He would be the only driver on the grid to get back-to-back podiums as it stands. After the first 2 races. Softs coming apart in shreds by the end. Yeah, you're absolutely right. They probably will be. They're already on 5% for Marcus. As, oh, we've got a mistake from Zoxerus. The championship leader has gone round at the exit of turn 3. He's gotten it going again, but that's going to be his campaign for the top 6. Done and dusted, I think. I think he's going to be consigned to P7 now. He's only got 3 seconds of penalties, so he will actually still get P6, as Reshka's got 16. But Zoxerus not having as good a race as he had last week, that is for sure. He's going to have to settle for a top 6 finish, I think, unless any more drama happens in these last 8 laps. Speed Alcoholic getting his way past Cialda in relatively simple fashion, as we expected. But Cialda now is just going to try and hold on. His tyres are only on 22% wear after 18 laps, which is crazy. So those hards really hold up well on this circuit. But Marcus hunting them down. 9.6 seconds now between himself and Johnny. But his tyres already on 10% after just 2 laps. So he's going to struggle very, very soon, I think. He's going to enjoy the pace he's got at the moment. But pretty soon he's going to end up with a brick wall of tyre wear. His last lap wasn't even that strong. It was a 12.9. Perhaps made a mistake because he's half a second slower than Tomasz, who's on 10-lap-old hards on that previous lap. So Marcus not exactly setting the world alight on those softs. He is catching the cars ahead, but not by that much. Jordan Lancer now with another time penalty. He's just praying for some drama to happen so he can get a point or two from this miserable race for him. He's got rear wing damage since lap 8 or so, I would say. For a huge slide with that loss of rear downforce. And, well, yeah, he's going to be driving around on his own for the rest of this race. I'm pretty certain of that. Cialda sticking with speed, doing very well on those hards. The mediums and hards are pretty equal in wear at the moment, so you can see why he's able to stay with speed. The hard tyre seems like a very, very good tyre on this track. That's good, a good thing to note. But Cialda is... he's not out of contention for the race win here. I know Tomasz is very, very quick, and he is continuing to be. He's gapping these guys by about half a second a lap at the moment. But if he makes a mistake here or gets another penalty, Cialda, with no penalties to his name, has a chance of winning the Canadian Grand Prix in Division 1, which, given how unlucky... given his reputation for bad luck in ESRL, would be quite the result. Even if he can get a podium here, he'd be very happy, I'm sure. But that's a big mistake through turn 2, big lockup, and that's going to cost him some time. But he's well in contention here for this race win. 6 laps to go, including this one, and the gap to the leader is about 8 seconds between him, Cialda, and Tomasz. So Tomasz knows what the assignment is. He understands what he needs to do. He needs to gap Cialda by another second, and he will secure this race victory. But it's far from a foregone conclusion here, as we expected it would be after he gapped the field by 8 seconds early in this Grand Prix in the wet conditions. Bikakberg getting up to P9 in the meantime. I'm going to display penalties again. Bikakberg and Lewis both on 6 seconds, so that is a fight for position in these lower reaches of the points. Ricky Cardo, by the way, is on for points in his debut after starting this race from last place, so he's going to be very happy with this performance. But Zoxerus, very slow. I wonder if there's damage to that Ferrari. There's nothing on my telemetry, so that would suggest there's nothing, but sometimes the telemetry is wrong. So we shall see. He's got both end plates, but Ricciardo now coming down towards the final chicane, and that's going to be an easy overtake for the Mercedes before the final chicane, and the championship leader is down to P8. He's only got 3 seconds of penalties, so he's still on track for P6 as it stands, but he's not doing ideally here. How are the softs, says Harris in the chat. They're on 26% already for Marcus, and there's still 4.5 laps left to go. So he is going to be verging on 50% wear by the end of this race. And yeah, I think he's perhaps starting to realize he may have made a mistake. Well, the gap to Johnny is 6.5 seconds. Marcus's last lap was an 11.9 compared to Johnny's 12.6. So he is still catching them by quite a margin. So he could still get himself on the podium here, given the penalties ahead. Yeah, I think if he'd strapped on a set of mediums earlier, he would probably have a very secure P2 here. But as it stands, he's really going to have to work hard for this and could end up making a mistake, giving it too much on those worn soft tyres. The softs are a nightmare in the race on this game. They're horrible. You should only use them if you're right at the end of the race. Anyway. Cialda just going through my ghost there. Apologies for that, guys. Again, just a bug, not my fault. I definitely press spectate. But Cialda down into the hairpin, and a big lockup goes very deep. And he is now over 10 seconds behind Tomasz. So it should, after all of that, still be a comfortable win for the Sauber driver. But he's had to work a little bit harder than he may have expected after those first 8 laps. Cialda nearly going into the back of speed there. That could have been a disaster. With just 3 laps to go in this Grand Prix. Johnny Stokes sitting around there as well. He's still on 3 seconds. Let's keep the penalties on screen so we have that reference. It's 3 seconds for Johnny. So as it stands, he would get that double podium. Speed will be relegated to P4. Could end up being P5 if Marcus catches them up a little bit more. But speed wear. Marcus also on 38% wear right now. So anything could still happen in this race as Johnny Stokes continuing to chase after them. But Marcus might still get his way onto the podium here. Johnny Stokes is the man he's got to beat. He's got to get 2.5 seconds in the next 2 and a bit laps to take that 3rd place. It's going to be quite an endeavour, though, on 40% worn soft tyres. He is gaining about 9/10 a lap, but as it stands, that's not enough to get him onto the podium, or to get him past Johnny at least. Speed Alcoholic, I think he might be able to get. It is another penalty for Tomasz, so it's not quite over yet. If Tomasz makes a mistake, then Cialda could still scam this race win. But yeah, he's 12.7 behind now. It's not looking great for his prospects of winning this race, but it's still a fantastic drive from Cialda today, I have to say. Marcus just about 6.1, 6.2 behind Speed. I don't know if he knows that Speed has 6 seconds of penalties, so he's got to keep pushing here. He might just see Johnny's gap of 5.6 and see, well, I'm not catching that, I might as well just slow down and make sure I get to the end here, not knowing that he could still get a podium from Speed's penalty. Or, well, not a podium, but P4 from Speed's penalty. So it could be another couple of points if he does realise that, but I don't think he does. Zoxerus at the moment on course for P7. Reshka's gapped both of them. So actually Reshka... Oh no, sorry, he's 5 seconds ahead. So Zoxerus on course for P6 here, excuse me. But Reshka's still on course for at least a couple of points here, which would be fantastic for him given his lack of confidence going into this race. As we head onto the final lap of the Canadian Grand Prix, it's been a very interesting tactical race with some great moves and great racing scattered around as well. But it's Tomasz coming into the final sector now. He has been by far the fastest driver on the grid today. Second to none at all. He does have 12 seconds of track limits penalties, but he's got enough of a gap that it's not gonna matter. He comes through the final chicane now. That'll have been another warning, but it doesn't matter. Tomasz Baldra comes across the line to win the Canadian Grand Prix on debut in ESRL. Speed is under pressure from Cialda, but Cialda knows he doesn't have to push it. They're coming through the final corner. Speed comes across the line in second, but it's going to be Cialda who takes it with no penalties. Johnny Stokes gets another podium, back-to-back podiums for him, and he's going to be leading this championship going into round 3. Speed Alcoholic finishes P4. Marcus finishes on 55% tyre wear on those softs in 5th place. If he'd gone on to mediums at the same time everyone else did, I think he'd have had a comfortable P2 here. Ricky Cardo up to P6, but down to P7 and down to P8. Zoxerus does get that 6th place finish in the end. Bikakpa gets some points in P7. Ricky Cardo in P8 on debut gets himself 4 points. I think he should be quite proud of that. Reshka in P9 with 2 points, and Lewis gets the final point for Williams. Jordan Lancer finishing agonizingly in P11. Marcus says he had P2 in the bag. Oh, he didn't have any more mediums, so he gambled. That's why, I guess so. That's a real shame. But, yeah. That is certainly a blunder, I'm afraid to say. 55% tyre wear in, what was it, 11 laps? That's crazy. On those soft tyres. Speed said he enjoyed that, enjoyed the start in the wet. Yeah, you had a great race, Speed. Unfortunate to miss out on the podium, I have to say. And I'm glad you enjoyed the race, Harris. Thank you for joining in and watching along. Very much appreciate it. Yeah, the softs, don't use softs in the race on this game. Just don't. They're awful on every track. Unless there's a really late safety car, you just don't use them. They're really bad. Oh, you had a half spin. I missed that as well, Marcus. Missed that one. But those are your final results. It is Tomasz who takes the win on debut from the Czech Republic with the fastest lap as well, so maximum points for him. Cialda finishes P2. What a race from him. Great drive. He's my driver of the day for today, Cialda, without a doubt. Johnny Stokes, back-to-back podiums. He'll be very happy with that. Speed Alcoholic in P4. A good race for him, but unfortunate to miss out on the podium. Marcus bottles P2 and finishes 5th place. Former championship leader Zoxerus finishes in P6. I think it will be Johnny who will be championship leader. It will be close though. Bikakpa, Ricky Cardo, Reshko and Lewis make up the rest of the point scorers, with Jordan Lancer, Scott, Aces, Patty and Wumax make up the rest of the finishers, and then Jackalacco, Carlito, Trugster and Palang unable to finish the race. Rearing was difficult to drive with, but the main thing is I'm getting used to this game. Yeah, you had a good race until the rear wing damage, Lancer. And then after that, it was just damage control, really. You needed someone else to bottle it, and no one did. So a shame for you, but still a good race. A good performance from you. But anyway, those are your championship standings going into round 3. We get to look at this now. This is the good thing, I suppose, with these EA leagues. So Johnny Stokes is indeed the championship leader, although I don't think he should be, because Zoxerus won race 1. So actually, they haven't got count back right there. Zoxerus is still the race leader, or the championship leader. But it's Ferrari 1-2, both on 33 points, and they're doing a great job with that. I've forgotten his name now. Tomasz. He's not showing. I think it's because he's a reserve, but he'll be on 25 points in P3. Marcus in P4 with 25 as well, and then Speed has 16 points in P5. So there we go. There you have it. Great tactical race. Very interesting race to watch throughout, and some great racing all the way through as well. So well done to all the drivers. And it was a pleasure to commentate on. Everyone was difficult to drive with. You think I should have pitted for Hards, Ghost? I don't think it mattered because he still finished ahead of Cialda on track. What a drive from him. Absolutely. My drive of the day easily is Cialda. After his huge run of bad luck. I think he really had a shot at the race win here today as well. It was just Tomasz was too quick in the end. I don't think you should have pitted for Hards. I think you were fine. You ended the race on, what, 45% tyre wear? Yeah, that's what the telemetry says. So, yeah, I think you were fine. I think you made the right choice. Did the same thing as Tomasz. I don't think you would have gapped anyone by any more. Maybe you would have had a chance to beat Johnny for P3, but if buts and maybes. I don't think you made a bad call. It's just maybe the Hards would have gotten you better, but it's hard to say. But that's it for today. A great race in Canada. He knew Marcus would have bottled it. But next week, as you can see, you can join us for round 3 in Bahrain. For what I'm sure is going to be an equally good race. Great competitive grid, at least outside of Tomasz today, but really competitive all the way down, so I think we're in for a very, very good season. But anyway, thank you all very much for watching. I did very much enjoy it. Thank you, Speed, and have a lovely rest of your weekend. And I'll see you all next week for more ESRL. Goodbye.